morning. It's Thursday, July 21st. And it's hot all over the world. Temperatures are rising and Mother Nature is ripping us apart. But I want to talk about another group of people who are ripping us apart. Have you ever heard of the term greedflation? It seems like that's what we are confronted with in this country and in many other countries. Greedflation represents the CEO compensation package that include salary, bonuses, stock options, and other incentives. You've heard this before, but it's well worth hearing it again. The rich are getting richer and the rest of us are getting poorer. And I know you think that's shocking, but that's what the situation really is. The CEOs of the Standard & Poor's 500 companies got on average an 18% bump in compensation, averaging about $18.3 million in 2021. Now that's according to the AFL-CIO Executive Pay Watch report. That salary is 324 times the median worker's pay at those companies. In 2020, the ratio was 299 to 1. And in 2019, it was 264 to 1. Isn't 264 to 1 enough? Does it have to keep going up? 264 to 1, and the employees were getting raises over the last 2 years. So if it had stayed on the 264 to 1, they would have made a ton of money anyhow. How come it's now 324 to 1? That's crazy. When you look at those numbers, it doesn't take a brilliant mathematician to determine that the company executives are getting away with murder. Because if you just want to talk about keeping up with inflation, you only need to make about 7.1% more. So what is this 18%? It's a ripoff, a monumental ripoff. And I'm watching the prices in the supermarkets. They're going up and up and up. And I hear this morning that the cost of these goods is going down. But the prices are not moving comparably to the lowering of the cost. Now, gasoline is true has shown a little improvement over the past couple of weeks. It's down to around $4.50, $4.25 in New York. In some places, it's under $4. But we're still getting ripped off. So back to the executives. They're getting an 18.3% raise, and the rank and file employees got 4.7% on average in 2020. That could be considered a solid raise in the normal year, but not when things are running crazily like inflation is running around this country. And certainly, if you had taken a little bit less, if the bosses had taken a little bit less, then the employees could have gotten a little bit more, and that would have made a big difference in their lives. Because when everything is adjusted for inflation, the worker salary averages fell. They went down. They average about 2.4% loss. So yes, I got a 4.7% raise, but inflation went up, and in the bottom line is my salary is worth 2.4% less, and I'm busting my ass. How does that look to you? It sucks to me. Luckily for me, I'm not working anymore. I got enough. If I want to save a little bit, I'm not driving around much, and I got an electric car, as you all know, so I don't pay a lot for gas. But most people in this country are not as fortunate as I am, and not as fortunate as most of the people that I associate with these days. So we're stuck in this cycle that the researchers are calling greedflation. And this occurs when companies raise prices to boost their profits. They want to boost their profits for the stockholders, right? And those boosts in profit help the stock prices rise. And then when the stock prices rise, who benefits from that? Not the employees, the stockholders, and the CEOs get windfall payouts. But that doesn't mean the company's really worth any more than it started out to be. So there's something wrong with the system. Specifically, very, very wrong. According to the survey, Amazon is leading the pack in CEO compared to worker pay. They have a staggering 6,474 to 1 ratio. Now, I don't know how they're calculating this, because if they're counting the value of the stock in the ratio, not pure salary, I don't know if that's a fair comparison. But in any event, Amazon is leading the charge, so to speak, in greedflation. And maybe this whole greedflation is not 100% correct. Since if a guy has a salary of a certain amount and then gets bonuses on top of that, I'm not so sure that we're really calculating greedflation accurately. But nevertheless, it's way too high. Whichever way they choose to calculate it, it's way too high. There's no reason for CEOs to get compensation beyond, say, 20 or 30 or 40. Because that extra money, those bonus payouts, really belong to the employees. They're busting their ass to make the money that keep the executives in fancy cars and whatever else they do with their money. But I don't think anything is going to change, because this is capitalism that we live under and work. And some companies are more generous than others. And there are no rules for generosity. We don't have universal health care and things like that, which we could easily afford. But there's a segment of our government and everything that fights against workers' benefits. When you look at other civilized countries in the world, and people are getting 3 or 4 or 5 months or 6 months maternity leave and things like that, and we don't have anything close to that. So yes, greedflation is running rampant in this country, and it could be controlled if the owners of the companies, if the CEOs of the companies, if the stockholders of the companies had a scintilla of Rahmanis on the workers. So I leave you with that this morning, something to think about. Again, have a great day. Bye.